Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, that was a tough one. The Titans blow a double-digit lead to lose to the New York Giants in week one. One half of defense, barely any feasible offense. Let's just talk about what happened on Sunday. I'm breaking it all down for you in a Locked On Titans postcast. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Titans fans, it is our first Locked On Titans postcast of the year, and I gotta say, it doesn't feel great to have our first postcast of the year be after a loss, but that's exactly what happened out there for the Titans as they lose 21-20 to the Giants. Thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream. I am putting out daily Monday through Friday Tennessee Titans content for free on all platforms all year round, including the Locked On Titans YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there. Hit the notification bell and throw a thumbs up on the video if you're watching right now. Follow me on Twitter at TicTacTitans. Check out the show Facebook page at Locked On Titans Pod. This is my 10-minute instant reaction recap to the game. Later on tonight, I will be posting my full 30-minute breakdown episode with everything I saw on offense and defense. Tighten up and tighten down and talk about some of the things that happened around the rest of the NFL. But for right now, man, let's just dive right in. It just feels like we just watched the Titans from last year. Like this game that we just watched, it feels like the Titans games from the middle of the season last year when they didn't have most of their offensive weapons. That's what the game felt like. The defense comes out. The defense plays pretty good early on. I mean, what a hot start for the Titans. The defense comes out, gets some early sacks. Bud Dupree has a sack. Weaver has a sack. Simmons has a sack out there. The Kyle Phillips punt return, awesome. The Titans get down there. They get a touchdown. Dontrell Hilliard, which I know we're not really in the mood to give attaboys, but I did try to tell you guys all week long that Dontrell Hilliard would be huge in this game. But the Titans start out hot. Hilliard gets the touchdown. Titans again get a couple field goals on the board, but that is the start of what becomes the major problem for the Titans. The Titans should have had way more points than 13 in the first half. No bones about it. This offense continued. Yes, we're going to get to the second half, but the Titans defense played lights out in the first half, and the Titans get 13 points out of it. It's just not the Titans offense that we need it to be for the Titans to do the things that we want them to do. Far too many times, first down runs. Far too many times, run, then a pass, then the punt. I mean, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to hit on everything. But I'm just so annoyed that once again, the Titans defense has a dominant first half and the offense doesn't do enough to pick up the slack. Then, once we get into the second half, and the Titans are up 13-0, and once we get into the second half, the defense just starts to collapse. The run defense was despicable. I forget who I was talking to, but somebody in the comments earlier this week was like, oh, you worried about the run defense at all against Saquon Barkley? I wasn't that worried. The Titans have historically had a pretty good run defense the last few years. Hasn't been absolutely incredible, but I'm just shocked that Saquon Barkley went out there and put up over 160 yards and just dominated. Really. And we're going to have tighten up and tighten down when I do my full 30-minute reaction later on tonight. I'll be putting that up later on tonight. But, man, I can't believe the way the defense let down. The linebackers were awful. Christian Fulton was awful in this game. The edges were awful. I mean, I am just absolutely shocked. Now, what I'm not shocked by is the Titans' lack of offense. I mean, what is Todd Downing doing? it's 3rd and an inch and you go wildcat. It's 3rd and 1 and you go with a tight end sweep. I said on Twitter, and I'm gonna say this a lot this week. The edges were awful, Max. The edges were awful in run defense. Yeah, they got pressure early, but they were awful in run defense. That's why the Giants were running counter runs to the perimeter and getting pulls so that they could seal in the edges because the edges were crashing down way too hard. I guess just once again, although the defense fell off, the Giants scored 21 points in this game. The Titans can't score more than 21 points. You know, we could talk about the defense. I'm not even going to hit on Randy Bullock. Randy Bullock made 2 kicks. We're asking Randy Bullock to go out there and save them with a 47-yarder after Mike Vrabel completely botched the time management. The Titans should have had another play to go out there and get a couple more yards to make it an easier field goal for Randy Bullock, and they didn't. So you can put it all on the kicker if you want, but the Titans offense has to score more than 20 freaking points. Once again, we can talk about the defense giving up big plays. That sucks. We can talk about Randy Bullock missing nearly a 50-yard field goal at the end. But what really ruined this team on Sunday was the offense. 3 for 11 on 3rd downs. I don't know what else to say. Again, like I was saying earlier, what I will continue to stress is that you don't overreact to week 1. Yeah, the Titans lost, but we saw last year, the Titans got crushed and everybody freaked out. And guess what? The Titans were fine. They got the number 1 seed. Now, I guess you could say the Titans weren't a real contender, even though they got the number 1 seed, because we saw how they performed in the playoffs, which I guess you could take that for what it is. But I am not overreacting to week 1 when I say Todd Downing is not good enough. Todd Downing is awful. The offensive line was actually okay. Not super happy about the wide receiving core, like I figured. Robert Woods getting all the attention. Nick Westbrook-Akina. No, the best wide receivers for the Titans are Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips already. But what really ruins it for the Titans is just the terrible play calling, the terrible plan going in. Todd Downing is just not an NFL offensive coordinator. He may be a good tight ends coach. He may be whatever Mike Vrabel wants him to be. But he's not an offensive coordinator. He's not. Now, we all have to acknowledge this as well, that the Titans are liable to go out there and beat the Buffalo Bills and totally change the narrative. So just keep that in mind. Before I kind of put a bow on things, do want to mention a couple of things. Number one, our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks makes fantasy football daily easy. You pick 2 to 5 players. You pick whether they're going to do more or less than what PrizePicks projects for them. Saquon Barkley, 150 rushing yards. Ryan Tannehill, 2 passing touchdowns. Less, more, what do you think is going to happen? You make a roster of 2 to 5 guys, and if you hit, you have a chance to win 10 times your entry. Go to PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com right now. Sign up. And when you do, make sure to use the promo code Locked On. You're going to get a 100% deposit match on deposits up to $100. You deposit $100, you get a free $100. You deposit $50, you get a free $50. So don't forget to use promo code Locked On and sign up for instant deposit match up to $100 at prizepicks.com. Also want to tell you guys about our friends over at BriteCo. You guys have all heard about these horror stories with jewelry. You dropped the ring, you lost it off the boat, you're trying to propose at a football game, you lose the ring. The guys at BriteCo made it simple. Under 2 minutes, you can sign up online. You don't want to be that guy that completely blows it and doesn't get anything back. You're going to get a replacement of the full value of that ring, no matter if it's lost, stolen, or you just can't figure out what happened to it. Go to Brite.co/locked on. It's the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way to cover your butt with the best jewelry insurance in the business. But continuing back to the game, I don't really know what else to say from here. It just felt like 2021 when the Titans didn't have their top receiving option out there. That's what it felt like to me. The offense can only get about 20 points. they maybe get some easy opportunities and score, and then they burn out. And then they burn out quick. They start slow. Not in this game. They were able to start fast, but they still burned out by the end. We can blame the defense, and there's a ton of blame to go around. But at the end of the day, the Titans offense cannot only score 20 points when the defense played the way that it played in the first half. I don't know what else to say to you guys. Put the blame wherever you want it. But for me, it's Todd Downing, the pathetic play calling. As long as Todd Downing's calling this offense, the Titans are just not going to be a very good offense. There's just no way around it. That's all it was. But at the end of the day, this is week 1. The Titans offense can get better. The Titans defense had some great moments out there. Now, a lot of people are saying it was the Giants. It was the Giants. It was the Giants. Okay, maybe you're right about that. But we don't know how good the Giants are going to be. So there's that. All we know is the Titans were up 13-0. The defense was playing lights out. And then in the second half, the defense decided to join the offense, being far less than mediocre. And then the Titans lose 21-20. Nobody to blame but the offense, in my opinion, and the run defense. That's where I'm really gonna stick. I'm not talking kicker. I'm not talking penalties. None of that nonsense. The Titans just didn't play run defense today, and the offense didn't play near well enough at all. And we're used to that. This Titans offense, guys, I've been saying it all along, and people didn't want to listen. The offense is what's going to let this team down if the team is not as good as we want. But it's only week 1. I don't think it's time to freak out, but what we do know is Todd Downing is not an NFL offensive coordinator. But that's going to do it for this postcast. I'm going to be back on later tonight with my full 30-minute recap. We're going to go over all my big takeaways. We're going to do tighten up and tighten down and look at the rest of the NFL as well. Make sure you subscribe. Free and available on all platforms. The Locked On Titans podcast, where it's your team every day. I'll be back with you guys later tonight for my full recap.